Hey everyone, this is Jen. Welcome to my fourth and final vlog. Today's vlog is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about my Today's vlog is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be talking about my experience overall, and I'm also going to give a few tips to future students. So let's get started. Well, overall, it was an amazing experience. I wish I could do it all over again. And I'm gonna list a few things that I found was like the biggest things for me, but they're not necessarily in order. I think this is the funniest one. I was eating nonstop as if I had never eaten in my entire life. And it wasn't necessarily like German food. It was just that like a lot of things were different, like treats, at the grocery store, and like I just wanted to try them. And I did buy a lot of them to bring back. But yeah, I did like some German food. I'm not into like sausage and like meat in general. But I did have the vegetarian version of a schnitzel. And like I don't drink either, so I didn't have beer or anything like that. But overall, I ate so much. And there was this Italian restaurant that I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I loved, and oh my gosh, the food there was amazing. So we did go to like a few different restaurants with like different types of food, and maybe that's why I was eating a lot. I'm not sure. But I also walked a lot. Like the days were very long, so I was also like using a lot of my energy. So I don't know. All I know is that I ate a lot. Okay, the second thing is friends. I became friends with pretty much everyone in my group, and they were awesome. And I think the best part about it is that like we don't know if we're ever gonna see each other again, but if we do, it's gonna be somewhere else in the world because they're all spread out. And I think like the connection that we made was amazing, and it's something that we're never gonna forget. So I had an amazing time while I was there with them, and I'm still in contact with them. Who knows if it's gonna last or not, but I really hope so because they're great. Well, not everything is a bed of roses, so there were a few things that did bother me, like the time difference. Germany is 6 hours ahead of Boston, so it was a little bit hard for me to communicate with my friends, or if I had to talk to anyone at the university. Like I always had to be like aware of the time difference, and whenever I was trying to talk to like my brother, it was really, really hard, because there was never a time that worked for both of us. So that's one of the things that I think bothered me the most. And also it was really hard for me when I came back to adjust to the time difference. I was definitely jet lagged. Another thing that bothered me a lot was the heat. I mean, I'm saying this as if it's not hot here, but the thing is, there is no AC there or fans. It's not a thing. They're really worried about the environment there, and they always say it's because of the environment, but I really don't know. It was really, really hot, like my first week there, and not only me, but like, yeah, a lot of the other people in my group were complaining about the heat. Like there was one day in class where we were dismissed early because the professor was like, I was like, no, you can just all like leave, do whatever you want to do, because we just can't stay in the classroom anymore. Now, I spent a lot of time in class because we had classes from 8:30 to 4. But I did enjoy it, besides, being in the classroom for a long period of time. It was very dynamic. Since it was only 2 weeks, there was a lot like to learn, in those 2 weeks. But our professor made it very dynamic. There were a lot of class discussions, and the good thing is that I learned a lot from just by talking to my classmates, because my class was called Intercultural Communication Competence, and like there were a lot of people from other like parts of the world there, so it was really interesting to learn from my professor who is not even German. He's actually English. And so yeah, it was quite an experience. And the other thing about the classes was that sometimes we had activities like outside of the classroom. He would just like take us out, like, oh yeah. And then like the last day of classes, he took us out for lunch, and it was like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna, I'll pay for everyone. And I was like, what? Besides the activities in class, we did have activities planned for after class and on weekends. So we had a lot of time to bond, and I think those were probably my favorite parts of the trip, because we got to like hang out as a group, and I don't know, just get to know each other without any like time pressure or like, yeah, no, we have to get work done, so yeah, I already talked about activities in my previous video, but that was definitely my favorite part. One thing I was very impressed with was the options at grocery stores. I'm not gonna say that like at restaurants there are a ton of options if you have allergies or if you have dietary like preferences or needs, like vegan, vegetarian, or like gluten-free. But if you go to the grocery stores, they do have a lot of options, and they're not like super expensive, because usually here, those options are way more expensive, but they were very affordable. And yeah, I just saw a lot of options that I'd never seen before, and I was definitely enjoying it, because I am not supposed to eat gluten, so it was a good thing. Now, as for tips for future students, one of the things I was worried about before my trip was taking cash with me, because I didn't want to take a lot of cash, with me, through all the airports that I was gonna go to. So I had an amount for like more like emergencies in case the establishments didn't take card, and I believe I took 380 euros, and I came back with 150. So I would say that was a pretty good amount, because I also didn't want to like have to pay extra fees to withdraw the money while I was there. So I would say that is a good amount if you're there for like maybe 3 weeks, because I was also in other places before I went to Germany, and that was a total of 3 weeks. So I would say if you go with 300, it should be good enough. Thing I was really concerned about was like personal items in terms of like basic needs like toiletries, and honestly I wish I didn't had worried so much about it, because there is a store there called DM. It's kind of like CVS or Walgreens, and the prices are really good, and I don't know, it's just like the stuff that I ran out of, it was like so easy for me to get there because there was one in like every corner. So I would say don't worry too much about it. Yeah, I guess that's it. In terms of getting ready for the program, I would say start early if you can, because depending on your citizenship and the country you're going to, you're going to need a visa. I didn't, which, helped a lot, because I didn't start super early because I wasn't aware of this whole program for the summer. It did work out though. So like if you do start late, and you could be fine, but it's best to start early so you don't stress out, and you can also get better prices on like plane tickets, or like if you plan on taking like a train ride while in Europe or wherever you are, wherever you're gonna be. It's definitely beneficial. I would say that the whole process wasn't too difficult, but there were a lot of steps. But I think it depends on your case. In my case, I was trying to get credits for a certain class, and they didn't want to approve it. So there was a lot of back and forth between the two universities. But also it depends if you're going to pay out of pocket, if you're applying for financial aid, or if you're getting scholarships, and whether or not you're waiting on those facts to make a decision, which was my case. I was waiting on like scholarships, to see if I would go or not. But yeah, I mean, I would say it's worth it. Okay, if you're going to Europe, you might find that the tickets are a little bit expensive. Obviously, it depends on where you're going. To Germany, in this case, it was quite expensive. But I was talking to a travel agent at, before I went for like my tickets, and they were telling me that it was cheaper to find a way into Europe, like through another country, where the ticket would be like cheaper, and then you'd buy a separate flight to your final destination. And that's what I did for both ways. Well, I went to Italy first on purpose because I was going to stay there for a while, so that doesn't necessarily apply for my way there. But on my way back, I flew to Paris, from Frankfurt to Paris, then Paris to Boston. Oh my gosh, one thing that you cannot forget, a universal plug adapter. So I thought I was prepared, right? And I had 2 with me. And then I get there and I'm like, wait, this is not right. I had a universal one for the US, if you're coming to the US from somewhere else. Yeah, it was not fun. So don't forget one. Okay, I think this is a very important one. Go to the orientation that happens before, obviously before you go. Because 1, you get to see if there's anyone that is going on the same program as you, and 2, you get a lot of tips on like important things that you're supposed to do, like make sure that you do before you go, and also you're able to ask as many questions as you want, and also they do like some sort of like situations and what you would do, just so you have an idea to be prepared. It wasn't a big deal for me because I was an exchange student a few years back, so I already knew like the whole drill, but still it was really nice to have a refresher. I think this is the last one. Don't take a lot of stuff with you. And I mean it. I didn't think I was taking a lot of stuff with me, and if I think about it, I was only taking a carry-on. A carry-on is not enough, okay? The good thing is that I didn't have to pay, the fee to like take my bags with me. But on the way back, I had to buy another suitcase and pay the fees, because I decided like I didn't even go shopping like crazy for like clothes and stuff. It was more for like sweets and different snacks, because 1, they're healthier than they are in the US, like even if they do have it here, and 2, some of them are like you're never gonna see it again in your life. So yeah, don't take a lot of stuff with you, and take like a big bag, not a carry-on. Well, this is all I could think of, but if you have any questions, really just feel free to reach out. Like just leave a comment below, and I can always like give you my email if you have any questions. But also, like, the office is on campus. Like, you can always go there and visit or email them. They're really nice, and they'll be able to help you definitely better than me. So that was it for today, and thank you for sticking with me through this journey, and I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, this is really funny. I usually don't get nervous when I'm talking to people. Like, I could go on a stage and talk and I would not be nervous, but for some reason, every single time I'm recording myself, I get nervous and I forget things, and that's why sometimes I'm like, and I'll be like looking somewhere else because I completely forget what I'm supposed to say. So I'm sorry about that.